Thank you. You probably can see my screen now that I'm about to go live on YouTube, and that's not even what I wanted you guys to see. I want you to see my slides. So hold on. Hold on. Let me stop sharing. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just really messing this up today. Okay, stop that. Minimize this. And now let me go back to sharing my slides. Okay. It's gonna get better, I promise. Oh my goodness. For those of you who are like, I'm jumping off, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Um, Now what happened to my slides? Mm, There we go. That's what I wanted. Now I can share. Okay. Boop. I just need to close. I have so much stuff open. There we go. Got it, got it, got it. Now we can share. Okay, welcome in, welcome in. Somebody give me a thumbs up if you can see my slides. That's what you should be seeing right now. And I'm glad my energy drink is finally um, pumping through my body. It is 4:08 on the West Coast, and we're going to get started here. So this is my masterclass on 10x your income with co-living. Let me just double check and make sure that you guys can see what I think you can see. Yes, you can. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is 10x your income with co-living, and I am Katrina Robinson. I am wrapped up in a blanket because I'm very cold, and I have a little cold right now. My throat is hurting a little bit, but I'm not going to claim that. I'm getting rid of this cold very quickly. So I wanted to go ahead and have this master class with you, and I really appreciate your time today in joining me. So what we're going to go over today is the opportunity and the growth of co-living, and then also how to open a group home or co-living home in 6 steps, and then how I can help you to open up a co-living home or a group home in 6 weeks. So I'll give you an invitation to join my intensive coaching program. It's not going to be any hard sell. I'm not even going to go over price or anything like that. So you can sit back and relax and get a drink, whatever drink you want to get. I've got my energy drink right here. I need to have some hot tea, but go ahead and relax. And we're going to get into how you can make some money with co-living and also help people with co-living. So I'm live on YouTube at the same time that I am live in the Zoom. So I will be checking the YouTube for Q&A after I'm done. And I will also check the Zoom. So you guys feel free to chat with each other if you want to on the Zoom or on the YouTube, and put your Q&A, your questions into the Q&A box on Zoom. And I will answer all of those when I get to the end or whenever I feel like taking a little break. All right, so let's go to the next slide. So what is co-living? I need to get my mouse working right because this is, okay, there we go. What is co-living? Okay, so co-living. Some people call it a group home. I call it a group home because I've been calling it a group home for 6 years now. But in Texas, they actually just defined what a group home is. And in Texas, a group home is a home where you provide non-medical services. So that's like personal services, transportation and meals and things like that that are non-medical services, even medication reminders and things like that. So by the new law, legal definition in Texas, I actually don't have group homes, but I'm still old school and I still call my group homes group homes. What I actually have are co-living homes. So I have houses that are residential, and in the house, I've got multiple people either in the same room or people who have private rooms, and they all live under one roof. And I don't provide any services at all. I provide no services, whether medical or non medical. So it's independent co living where I'm renting it by the room or by the bed. And it's all inclusive, meaning that utilities are included. So, what's the difference between that and assisted living? With assisted living, you are providing assistance meaning services with ADLs, activities of daily living. So, activities of daily living is things like toileting, bathing, feeding, medication management, and like administering meds to people, things like that. That is activities of daily living. I don't provide any help with any of that in any of my homes. So, really, I'm just a landlord. I'm a landlord, but instead of renting out the entire house, I rent out the house by the bedroom or by the bed within the room. So it could be shared rooms for a lower price. So that's what I do is independent co-living. So assisted living, a lot of times you'll hear people who have assisted living facilities talk about patients. I don't have patients in my homes. I have residents in my homes. And actually, when they sign a lease, they're a tenant. Legally, they're a tenant in the house. But I like to use the word resident so that it's ingrained in their minds that I can put them out if they break the house rules. So that's why I use the word resident. Now, I don't want to get all in the weeds, but initially I had everybody signing a licensee agreement, which says at the top, this is not a lease. So it was not a lease agreement, it was a licensee agreement. So they were residents. But I had people who signed leases too, because I had organizations that were paying for the people to live in my house. And those organizations required a lease. So I had some people on a lease and I had some people on a licensee agreement. And then after a while, I just put everybody on a lease. So now everybody's on a lease, but I still call them residents because I don't want them to think that they have tenant rights. They actually do have tenant rights, but I want them to know that if they break any of the rules, that I can put them out. So, what about, I get this question a lot, what about people who do need help with ADLs, with activities of daily living, but they cannot afford to be in assisted living? I actually can still house those people. I can still help those people. It's just that the help that they get with their ADLs does not come from my company. That help is outsourced. It's outsourced to like a home health agency. You've probably heard of an HHA, a home health agency. Those are the types of companies that help people with that type of help. So it's a third party that comes in and provides that help. So medication management, feeding, a nurse, and all that kind of stuff. If their insurance covers that kind of help, then they can outsource that to someone else, like a home health agency, or even sometimes they have a family member. If their insurance says that they get provider hours, then they can have a family member come in and provide those provider hours. And for example, cook their meals for them or do their laundry for them and things like that. So hopefully that explained what is co-living. Okay, now co-living versus multifamily properties. Some people ask me, well, what's the difference and what's the benefit of having co-living versus multifamily? So with a co-living home, you have a higher return on investment than a multifamily property. You get better loan options than a multifamily and a commercial property because you can get a fixed interest rate for 30 years on a co-living property, because a co-living property is basically this exact same thing as just a residential house. It's just a single family home, but instead of renting it out as a single family home, you're renting it out by the room. So it's kind of like you take this one house and now you have multiple doors. People in real estate always talk about, like, I have 10 doors, I have 5 doors. They're talking about the number of homes that they have. So it's like taking a residential house and breaking it up into all these different doors. So you also have lower maintenance costs when you do co-living versus multifamily. Because in a co-living home, just a regular single family home, you have one kitchen, one living room, one plumbing system, one septic system, and one electric bill. So you have one of everything instead of multiple of everything. And you don't have a multiple electric bills. You have one bill for everything. And then also with co-living, there's less competition because there are a lot of co-living homes that are popping up, but it's not enough to fix the affordable housing crisis. And then also with co-living, you earn 10 times the amount that you would earn on a regular rental, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. Okay, why co-living is poised for massive growth. This slide, we're going to talk about the outlook on the business. Okay, so the first thing is the aging baby boomer population. So 10,000 baby boomers turn 65 every day. And that's a trend that's going to continue through 2030. So 1 in 5 Americans are going to be 65 or older by 2030. Now, a lot of those people are going to need supportive housing, but not all of them are going to need that full scale assisted living. Assisted living costs about $4,500 a month, $4,500 to $6,000 plus. It depends on where you are. Assisted living could be $10,000 a month, depending on where you are and how nice that assisted living facility is. So that prices out a lot of people. And not everybody needs assisted living. Even though they're elderly, they might not need all that help. They really just need a safe and stable, affordable place to live. And they like shared living because it's lonely. When you get older and you're all by yourself, it's really lonely. So they don't mind sharing a house with other people a lot of times. And so that's where group homes like mine or co-living homes like mine step in, because they just need that safe place that they can live and pay this low amount each month. And then the housing affordability crisis. So option for people, especially for low income adults, even if they have a job. A lot of working professionals now are doing this shared housing thing because it's just cheaper and it's more affordable to live that way. Here's another stat for you. 55% of low income renters spend more than 30% of their income on housing. So that's just crazy to spend more than a third of your income on housing. So shared housing is really solving this housing affordability issue. So cities really need this model. And then decline in private room supply. So new construction favors large or luxury single family homes, not affordable housing, not shared housing. I went to a pad split presentation recently, and they presented this stat that the housing supply that we need already exists. They said that 7.3 million affordable homes could be created from 1% of the current existing housing. That's crazy to me. And they said that there are 137 million spare bedrooms in the United States. Excuse me. So as private housing costs rise, room rentals and co-living offer this scalable solution for people. And if you're already a landlord and you do single family homes, you could easily make this pivot and do co-living homes. And you can really benefit. You can make 10 times as much money if you pivot from a single family, regular long-term rental to something like co-living. And then lastly, the social isolation and mental health. So there are adults, a lot of adults who have mental health challenges and disabilities or substance recovery. And a lot of times those people thrive in a structured and shared environment. So group homes give community and not just a roof over their head. And when I say adults with mental health challenges, I don't mean ones that need help with activities of daily living with ADLs, but there are a lot of people who have mental health challenges that can feed themselves, bathe themselves, take their own medication, but they have limited income. So they might receive SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, and maybe they can't hold a job because of whatever condition they have. So they have this small check that they receive every month, but they can't afford their own apartment and food and electricity and internet and water. They can't afford all of that. So what they could do is rent a room at a co-living home like mine or yours, or they could share a room and save even more money and still be able to eat. So that's where my homes come in. And 1 in 4 adults in the United States lives with a disability or a mental health condition. So when you combine all of these different reasons, the aging demographics, the housing shortages, the affordability issues, and the shifting housing preferences for people, co-living homes are not just a trend that's going to go away anytime soon. It's actually something that's growing. And so, it's the future. So this is really the time to get in on this. It was something that people talked about a little bit a few years ago. I know I started getting interested in it back in 2019, 2020. And now a lot more people are interested in it, and it's really just growing. So if this is something that you're interested in, it's really something that you should get into now because it's only going to grow. Okay, so why should you even listen to me? Hello, I'm Katrina. I'm Katrina Robinson, and I have 3 co-living homes in San Antonio, Texas, but I actually live in Los Angeles, California. So initially, I wanted to get into assisted living. That was my whole goal back in 2020, was to go into assisted living. But I had some family issues come up. My sister passed away, and I got custody of her 2 children. And so I was actually under contract to buy an assisted living facility at the time. And I needed to save all my money, and I was stressed out. So I pulled out of that deal during the option period. So I wanted to do something else that was similar to assisted living. And a friend of mine mentioned independent living, unlicensed group homes. Now, the word unlicensed really threw me off, and I was scared. I was like, oh no, I'm not doing anything unlicensed because that's illegal. But unlicensed does not mean illegal. Unlicensed just means that you're not providing any services that require licensing. So once I did more research, I took a course on it. I went to YouTube University and did all the research I could find, was taking notes. I figured out that this was something that was doable and that I could do it. So I cashed out my retirement and renovated a big house that used to be an assisted living facility in San Antonio, Texas. I renovated that whole house, and it was really big. It had been added on to twice. So it was a 5-bedroom, 5-bath house, but 2 of the rooms were double size. I renovated the house and I filled that house with with beds and furniture. And I rented out the beds for $560 a month, and there were 15 beds in there. So if you do that math, 15 beds times $560 a month, I was grossing $8,400 on that house. And I also had a day job too, working for the government. So I was making a lot of money on that house. And that's when I decided, you know what, this is for me. This is what I want to do. And I never looked back after that. So I got another house and another house. And I just grew confidence. I had this newfound confidence after I cashed out my retirement and took that leap and did that house. And I had bet on myself and it paid off. So now I have three of these homes. And now I coach other people on how they can do the same thing. So that's me. I did not read that slide at all, but you guys can read that slide. Oh, yeah, I was in the Air Force too and been to Iraq and all that stuff. Okay, we're about to get into this, the profit potential. Before we get into the profit potential, I think I saw a question pop up. Okay. Oops. Um, oh, I'm sorry. There was I'd like to be anonymous. Okay, hopefully you're anonymous on there. I don't think anybody can see your name. I can't even see your name. So I will answer that. Do you recommend not providing beds and bedding? Okay, that was a question that came through. I recommend providing the furniture. I don't like outside furniture because when people bring in outside furniture, they could bring in bed bugs. But there are some models, like for example, Pad Split is one of them, and that Pad Split's kind of like Airbnb. I know I'm jumping all around, but I'm gonna answer this. Pad Split's kind of like Airbnb, but it's for midterm and long term rentals, and it's rent by the room. And a lot of times people on Pad Split will rent out a room and it's just an empty room and you have to furnish it yourself. But then sometimes they furnish them too. So it just depends. It depends on your model. Some people rent to professionals only, and it's kind of like renting out the room as the apartment. The room is the new apartment. And so they furnish the room however they want to furnish it. But in my model, I provide all of the furniture and I provide all of the beds and everything. Hopefully that answered the question. Okay, let me see. All right, answered that one. Thanks for your questions, guys. Okay, now let's get to the fun part, the profit potential. So on the left, we have the typical single family rental, and that profits about $200 a month. So we're renting it out for $2,000. Now, of course, it depends on where you are in the country and things like that. But let's just say you're renting it out for $2,000 a month and your mortgage is $1,800. That's typical. So you make $200 a month. So let's turn that same house into a co-living house. So it's a 4 bedroom. So we take that 4 bedroom house that we were renting out for $2,000 a month. Our mortgage was $1,800. So our profit was $200 when it was just a regular long-term single family rental. Excuse me. So let's turn it into a co-living house on the right. So we put 2 beds in each room. And let's say you're charging 500, which is actually very low. I need to just delete this slide because that's really low. $500 a month, but maybe it's somewhere in middle America. $500 a month is good. And you put 2 beds in each room. So that's $4,000 gross that you're earning. And then subtract your mortgage, subtract the 1,800. That's $2,200. So you see the difference between renting out just a single family home and collecting your little $200 a month versus renting it out by the bed and receiving $2,200 a month. You see the difference there. And that difference is 10x. That's how you 10x your income with co-living. Now, let's do a more reasonable amount, which is $600 a month. And in most places is actually more than that. It's more like $750 a month. But let's just say $600 a month. You have 8 beds. So 8 beds times 600, that's 4,800. So 4,800 minus 1,800, which was your mortgage, that's $3,000. So compare 200 to 3,000, and I'm not good at public math, but that's a lot of money. Somebody just put a question in. Okay. All right. Um, Okay, awesome, awesome. I see all the questions coming in. I love it. I'm going to answer all of those. Okay. Now let's do something a little more realistic. What? I don't know why this is messing up like that. Okay, there we go. So 8 beds times 650. Okay, so 650 a month times 8 beds, that's 5,200. And again, that's shared rooms in a 4 bedroom house. So 5,200 minus 1,800, which is your mortgage, that's 3,400. But a lot of you, I know what you're thinking. I know that you're thinking, wait, you said we were going to cover the utilities. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So we're going to cover the, as the owner or operator, excuse me, I'm going to get a cough drop. As the owner or operator, you are paying the gas, electric, water, and internet. So even if you deduct the cost of utilities, you are still bringing in 10 times the amount of money that you would be bringing in if it was a regular single family rental. You see that? Do you, everybody, hopefully you all see that you're still bringing in more, like 10 times as much money. Because even if all of the utilities, electric, gas, water, internet was $1,000, you'd still be making 2,400 profit versus 200 on the left. So you're still making 10 times as much money. And like I said, when I opened my first house, it had 15 beds, which now it has 13 because I did downside. I moved, there was one room that was really, really tight. They were in there like sardines. I didn't like that. So I removed a couple beds. So when I opened my first house, it had 15 beds. I started out charging $560 a month per bed. 15 times 560 is 8,400. My mortgage was $2,000. And then let's deduct another 1,000 for utilities, and I'm profiting over $5,000 a month. That's on one property. That's on a property on the side of my day job. That's not my job. That's not on a job. That's on a property. That's on a rental property. So that's a lot of money to bring in for one rental property. Ask any real estate investor who has single family homes. That's a ton of money to bring on one rental property. So you also might be thinking, I don't want the headache of dealing with 15 people. I wouldn't want to deal with 15 people. And I understand that. And I didn't want that headache either. So I outsourced my headache. And outsourcing actually comes in the last portion of my coaching program, which is where I teach you how you can remove yourself from this by hiring help. You can hire an operations manager, or you could even give someone a discount on their bed for being the house supervisor. So there are a lot of ways to remove yourself from the day-to-day issues and people's personality challenges and things like that, where I don't have to deal with that. But if you want to deal with that, some people are more people, and some people are more business people and numbers people. I'm more business and numbers and not people. I'm not such a people person. I'm more of, I'd rather be working on the business, not in the business. So you find your strength. But yeah, I definitely didn't want to deal with that many people. So I hired help. So my operations manager gets a cut of the money, but I'm still making money. Even paying him, I'm still making a lot of money. So anyway, I foresee a lot more working class people who are working professionals, moving into co-living as a way to reduce their cost of living. And when you're working with, when your demographic is working class people, you can actually charge more. You can charge more depending on how nice your house is, the amenities, and all that stuff. So you can charge more. And you could also do all private rooms. That would be less of a headache too. It would be a little bit less money that you're making per bedroom, but you could definitely do all private rooms. And again, the amount that you can charge depends on where you are in the country. Okay, before I go on to this part, I did see a flurry of questions come in. So I'm going to take some of these questions before we launch into this part. How do you get the landlords to say yes to subleasing? I tried before and kept getting no, kind of discouraged. I'm sorry you feel discouraged. There are shortcuts that you can take. There's actually a business called rentalhomelocator.com. Rentalhomelocator.com. And they're not my business. We're not affiliated, but they specialize in finding landlords for this type of business. So just for co-living, group homes, assisted living, they will find a landlord wherever you are in the nation at a cost. They'll find a landlord for you and do that negotiation for you. So that's a way that you can do it. The other way is you just got to keep pushing. You have to use a script, which I give you in my coaching program, the exact script to use when you're going out and trying to find a landlord that will allow you to sublease. Because that's all you need. You need a landlord who will allow you to sublease their property if you're not going to buy the property yourself. And you can definitely do this business in a rental. You do not have to buy the property. I happen to buy all three of my homes. You do not have to do that. There are people who have 16 of these group homes and they don't own any of them, and they're still making a lot of money on all of those homes. Okay, so I did that one. Are all of your rooms 2 beds per room? That's a great question. No, I do have some private rooms. And I actually have a room that is 4 beds in one room, but that room is really big. If you go on my YouTube channel and click on the playlist Tour My Homes, I think it's called Tour My Homes, go to that playlist and watch the video tour of my first group home. That house is very unique, and there's a room where I have 4 beds in one room, and that room still has 4 beds. There's another room in there that had 4 beds when I did the tour, but that room only has 2 beds in it now because it was just too tight. But most of my rooms are 2 to a room. Now, 2 to a room is harder to fill than 1 per room than private room, but this business is about networking and referrals. So you have to find organizations that will provide you people who are willing to share a room. And there are a lot of demographics who are willing to share a bedroom. So hopefully that answered that question. Okay. Would 2 beds be the max per room? That's another question I got. No, the answer is no. It's not 2 beds max per room. There isn't really a max on that. There are some, if you do like some deep diving research on HUD rules and things like that, there are things about like reasonable amount of people in one room and all that. But no, I have a room that's humongous and there's 4 people in there and it's perfectly fine. And I've had the police come over many times. So yeah, you don't have to worry about that. Okay, shouldn't they pay more for the private room? Yes, they should pay more for the private room. But so if you have 2 people in one room and they're each paying $650, don't have me do public math, but let me get my calculator out. So if they're each paying $650 times 2, that's $1,300. You're not going to be able to charge one private room $1,300. That's too much. You can't charge $1,300. So let's say you're charging $850 for a private room. So instead of making $1,300 on that room, now you're making $850 on that room. So you're losing $450. If you're doing a private room instead of a shared room, you're losing money if you're comparing it that way. Hopefully that made sense. Does that make sense? If you have 2 people in the room and they're each something low, like 600 each, then you're making 1,200 on that room. But you can't charge a single person 1,200 in most communities. You cannot. If you're in California, you can, but like in San Antonio, you can't really charge somebody 1,200 for a private room unless they're sponsored by some kind of organization. So you're gonna charge like $850. So it's not as much money, but it's less headache though, because you just have one person to deal with instead of 2. Okay. I got another question. Is your program ideal for transitional housing? Yes, absolutely. So, transitional housing, a lot of times, I'm trying to think of how to define it. Sometimes people define transitional housing as like short term. So people stay with you for a short period of time while they're transitioning their life. So they're coming out of prison, they're in this like a halfway kind of house, and then they go on their way to into more permanent housing. Mine is, it can be considered transitional housing, but I don't put a limit on anybody. If they want to come and stay with me for 4 years, they can stay with me for 4 years. So that's the difference between my housing and regular transitional housing. But you, because all my leases are month to month, they can be considered transitional because people come to me and they stay with me until they get themselves on their feet sometimes. So that's transitional. But I have other people who've been with me for 4 years too. Okay, now I want to look at YouTube for questions, but I don't want to mess up what I have going on here on my screens. So I'm going to answer the YouTube questions after I'm done. Okay, so your why. I have this slide up for a long time now. You've probably already read it, but you're on this call for a reason. I know what my why was. I really wanted something that was a side hustle, like something that I could do on the side that would bring me money. And I've always been interested in real estate. And I also like helping people. I like helping people that other people won't help. So, kind of like second chance housing. That's why I house people who are re-entry. I house people who have been to prison before. I also house people who were sleeping in their cars or they were in just a bad situation, but they do have some income, but it's just not enough income to get their own apartment. So I just have a soft spot in my heart for those kind of people. So that's why I wanted to go into this. And I also wanted some income on the side of my day job. And now, fast forward a few years, now this is my job. I don't even have a day job anymore. This is what I do. I do my group homes and I do the coaching. So, what is your why? You're on this call for a reason. So, I just want you to keep that in mind. And I always have my coaching clients think about their why and write it down and post it somewhere because when times get hard, not if, when times get hard, I want them to remember their why. And maybe it's because they want to leave a legacy for their children or something like that. So anyway, just think about that. What is your why? And what is your life vision? Like where do you see yourself in a year? And where do you see yourself in 3 years and 5 years? And how would an extra $2,000 a month help with that vision? How would $2,000 a month help you to achieve your life goals? All right, here's my system. This is what you came for. This is my proven system to open and operate a profitable group home. And how do I know this works? Because I use this same system to open all three of my group homes. I'm very nerdy and I document everything. So as I was opening my homes, I was documenting all the steps that I took. I had all these to-do lists and things. And then I ended up breaking it up into different chunks. And these are the steps. This is the model that I use to open all three of my group homes. And on the next slide, I'm going to show you my client, Kenya. She signed a lease on her property during week 3 of my program, my coaching program. And she had her open house during week 6. And my coaching program is a 6-week intensive. So she opened her house during week 6 of my coaching program. And she filled all of her beds. And actually, I just posted, I believe it was last week, I posted a video of my follow-up interview with Kenya. And she's actually on her way to open her second and third group homes now. So anyway, before I show you her, these are the steps. The first step in opening your group home is setting up your business. Well, first it's a mindset. First is the mindset. Then you set up the business. Then you get the house. Then we go into marketing, which is huge because if you don't market, you don't fill the beds. If you don't fill the beds, you're not making money and you don't have a business. You have a hobby. So marketing is huge. And in my coaching program, I give you 101 ways to fill your beds. Then we go into the day-to-day operations, and then we go into putting everything on autopilot. So now I'm going to click the button and show you a little open house clip of Kenya's open house. She's in Baltimore and she's doing great with her group homes. She went through my coaching program. And she does not own that house. That house is a rental. Okay, I see questions popping up. Okay. What do you think about having a niche clientele or a specific demographic for each home? Like elderly in one home or working class or transitional? Hope that makes sense. Yes, that does make sense. And that's a great idea. I actually tell my coaching clients to cast a wide net instead of niching down initially. And that's because when I first opened my home, I said, I want to house veterans because I'm a veteran. I'm going to house veterans in this house. So I'm glad I cast a wide net, though. When I had my open house event, I invited everybody who I had connected with, and veterans organizations were not attracted to my house for whatever reason. So other organizations ended up filling my beds. So I'm glad that I didn't just say veterans because I would have been sitting with an empty house if I had just said veterans. But if you really have a heart for a certain niche, certain type of people, and you don't want to house a certain type of people, don't market to those people that you don't want to house. Like just go ahead and niche down. But I do recommend to cast as wide a net as possible. If you don't want to house reentry, don't house reentry. If you do absolutely do not want to house kids that have aged out of the foster care system, then don't open your doors to kids who have aged out of the foster care system. So it's really up to you. I love old people. Actually, I love veterans too. I love veterans, old people. There's a lot of types of people that I love to house, and there's certain types of people I don't want to house, like women. Don't really want to house women, and I don't want to house children because of liability issues and things. But it all depends on what you're interested in. I do recommend, though, cast as wide a net as possible. Okay, mindset. So the first step is to get your mind right. You need positivity and determination and a CEO mindset. And the CEO mindset is strategic and decisive and growth oriented. It's about knowing that you can do this and getting it in your mind that you are going to do this. And there's no plan B. It's just, I'm going to do this. And it's also about using a calendar and outsourcing things that you don't need to be doing on your own and just being obsessed with your win, whatever your win is. It's about paying for shortcuts. You capitalize on your strengths instead of trying to improve on skills that you don't really have. Just outsource that stuff. Just give it to somebody else to do. If I'm not good at making flyers, I'm gonna pay somebody else to do the flyer so that I can focus on things that I am good at. That's the CEO mindset. And it's about systems, not reinventing the wheel and with every task that you do. So just having a system and a routine in place. That's the CEO mindset. Okay, two, setting up the business. So step two is setting up the business. That's doing market research. That's the legalities. So having an LLC, tracking your expenses, having a business plan, which is actually not necessary at all. But I do in my coaching program give you a business plan. So for market research, you need to do market research on two things. One is the cost of a property in your area. And the property, by property, I mean the house, which I'm going to get to in the next step. But how much would it cost to rent a 4-bedroom home? Not 3, at least 4 bedrooms in your area. And then I also want you to look up how much is a bed in that area. So, how much are people charging to rent a room, either a private room or a shared room in your area? You need to know both of those numbers so that you can figure out how much money you're going to make on this business. Now, for the LLC, you don't have to set up an LLC because you're really just a landlord. But when you get an LLC, now you have a legit business. So now you can take advantage of business tax breaks. So you don't have to go legit, but I do recommend that you go legit, and you can get a lawyer to do that for you, or you can use like LegalZoom or Taylor Brands or Busy. There's so many different things you've probably seen on Instagram, all these different types of business organizations and companies that will set up your LLC for you. And that's paying for a shortcut too. And remember that the biggest tax breaks and deductions that you get are not, they don't go to employees. The biggest tax breaks go to business owners, which is why I want you to have a business, an actual legit business, an LLC. Because when you set up your business the right way, excuse me, you can write off things. You can write off equipment, your phone, your home office, even your business travel. So, like when I go from Los Angeles to San Antonio to check on my homes, that whole trip is a tax deduction for me. Now, I am not an accountant, but I'm sharing with you what my accountant has taught me. And I also do a lot of YouTube University and watch other accountants, and I get tax tips from them. And then I go to my accountant and say, hey, can I do this too? And he's like, yep, you can do that. So anyway, in my coaching program, I share with you everything that I've learned about all the different tax benefits of having a business and having this business in particular. And then also, side note, I was going to bring this up later, but I am having a live event April 24th and 25th here in Los Angeles. And there's going to be an accountant that's going to speak live at my event. And she is an expert she specifically works with group home operators and assisted living operators. So she is an expert on exactly what tax breaks you can have with this type of business. And she's all over Instagram. Her name is Shalisa English, and she is called Freedom Elite Tax, I believe. Freedom Elite Tax on Instagram. I don't think she's on YouTube, but she's on Instagram. And so anyway, she's going to be there on stage, and she's going to be gracing us with her presence to talk about all of the accounting things that go into this business. And I'm so excited for that session. Anyhow, let's get back to this. So you can also deduct expenses when you have an actual business, an LLC. You can deduct expenses that you're already paying for. So for example, my internet. I would have internet at my house whether I had this business or not, because I need internet. Everybody needs the internet. But because I run this business from my home on my home laptop, now my internet is a tax deduction. That's awesome. So I can deduct that. I can deduct the cost of my internet because I have this business. So there's so many things out there that you can do, like qualifying for 100% depreciation on vehicles. I don't do that one because I live in Los Angeles and my homes are in Texas, so I'm not driving to my homes. But if I was in the same city as my homes, I would definitely slap my name of my group home on the side of my car, and that would be a 100% depreciation tax benefit for me. So that's money right back in your pocket, but only if you know how to take advantage of it. So that's the part two, the business setup. Okay, the third step is getting the house. So you have to identify viable properties, like what kind of house is good for this. And the type of house that's good for this is at least 4 bedrooms. Don't do a 3-bedroom. If you do a 3-bedroom, you're not going to make as much money. Do a 4-bedroom at least. Get as many bedrooms as you can get. So a 4-bedroom house. If you own the house, you can put up a wall, see if there's places where you can make another bedroom, because sometimes there's like a family room and a formal living room or a formal dining room and things like that. So see where you can make extra bedrooms, or you can turn the garage into an extra room or 2 rooms. And also you want a nice enough neighborhood, not the best neighborhood, not the worst neighborhood either. You want something kind of in the middle, just like a nice enough neighborhood where everybody minds their own business and leaves you alone. That's the kind of neighborhood you want. And then depending on your demographics of the people that you're housing, you might need extra parking for them. So my residents don't have cars. My residents all take the bus. So I don't need parking. Of the 28 beds that I have, two people have cars. So I don't need to worry about that. But if you're housing, for example, only travel nurses or other working professionals, you need to make sure that you have ample parking for them. Okay, what else? Oh, no HOA. Make sure that your home is not in a homeowners association, HOA. And it's not because this business is illegal, it's because they will give you a hard time for having multiple unrelated people under one roof. Now, most of the people that we house in this business, that I house anyway in this business, are protected by the Fair Housing Act. They're protected by the Fair Housing Act. That's Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act. So most of the time, you're going to win. You're going to win in court. If the HOA gives you a hard time, you're going to win in court for having multiple unrelated people under one roof because these people cannot be discriminated against because they are protected. Most of them are protected class because they've suffered from some kind of addiction, so that makes them disabled by the law, or they're elderly, or there's all kinds of different things that fall under Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act. So anyway, they're going to be protected. So you're going to be fine, but I just don't want you to have that hassle. So I'd rather you not open in an HOA. Excuse me. You can do this business in a rental. Like I said, you do not have to own the house. Most of my coaching clients do this business in a rental. So you contact landlords. I give you the script. You contact landlords and see if they would be willing to allow you to sublease the house. That's how you get the house. Okay. Oh, we've already been on here almost an hour. Let me hurry up. Marketing. So this is the most important step because, like I said, if you don't fill the beds, then you don't have a business. So you have to find the right residents, and to find those people, you have to connect with caseworkers, placement agents, and also directly with the people who need housing. So that's how you fill the beds. And in my coaching program, I give you 101 ways to fill your beds. It's a lot of referrals and a lot of networking. I also teach you all about marketing materials, meaning like the flyers, brochures, business cards, how to do a very inexpensive open house event, how to write a year of emails in one day to all of the caseworkers and social workers and everybody that you're going to connect with. And I also teach you all about LinkedIn marketing as well. Okay, so let's see. I've covered 4 of the 6 steps now, and I am explaining at kind of a very surface level, but I know there's somebody on the call who is interested in my coaching program. So very quickly, I'm going to go over what's in my coaching program. I'm going to take a couple minutes to share that. So this, like I said, this might not be for everybody, but it's for somebody who's in here. This is my startup intensive coaching program. And I know that all of this would be easier if you had a mentor, if you had somebody to kind of walk you through how to do these different steps. So that's checklists, templates, and somebody to hold you accountable, and somebody who's been there, done that, and still doing that. So this is my coaching program. Imagine 6 weeks from now, you have this property business that is profiting you $2,000 a month for you and your family. That would be awesome. So you get templates and scripts, accountability, the direct access and support from me. We have group calls and one-on-one calls. You get a custom to-do list, and then you have lifetime access to the online video modules. So it's an online course. And then you also have a workbook that I give you with all of the resources. So everything that you need to run this business, everything that I've collected over the 6 years of running my business. Who is my program for? I won't read it to you, but people who are interested in real estate or interested in helping people. There are a lot of people who come to me who want to do this business because they want to maximize their real estate income. Then there are a lot of people who come to me who want to do this business because of social entrepreneurship. These are people who want to help other people. They want to help people with affordable housing or people who have been incarcerated and things like that. So it's all about your why. Okay, false beliefs. I need to own a home. You do not need to own a home. I've already shown you my client, Kenya. She rented the house, and most of my coaching clients actually rent the house that they do this business out of. Homeless people don't have income. I hear that a lot. And the people who I house, a lot of them were homeless. And they do have income. They just don't have enough to get their own apartment because they receive SSI or SSDI. So they might receive like $943 a month or something like that. And if they find a place, even if it's an efficiency studio apartment and it's like $850 a month, they don't have enough money to also pay for internet and water, electricity, and food. So they could rent a room from me or rent a bed from me, say like in a shared room for $650 a month. And then they still have enough money for their bus pass and for food. And they're paying that one low $650, which also includes all their utilities. So there are a lot of homeless people who do have some income. It's just not enough to live off of. Running a home will be a full-time job. Not the way I teach it. Not the way I teach it. So I do not like to waste time. I'm very into productivity. I'm a productivity nerd. So I teach you all the different ways to run this business to where it does not take over your life. And then I won't be able to fill the beds. If you think that you can fill the beds, then you are right. You will fill the beds. If you think you cannot fill the beds, then you are right. You will not fill those beds. But there's no reason for you not to fill the beds with as many people that need affordable housing out there as there are. You will fill your beds if you want to fill your beds. Here's a couple of client success stories. So there's Kenya on the left and there's Janice on the right. And I have videos of both of them on my YouTube channel. Okay, so this, I know it's a long link. I need to put it in the chat box. But if you are interested in my coaching program, just book a call with me, calendly.com/Katrina E. Robinson/strategy-call. That's way too long. I'm going to see if I'll throw it in the chat once we get to the Q&A. Okay, now we are almost done here. Let me go to the next slide. Excuse me. Okay, so we've talked about mindset. Oh, I have questions that popped in. Let's see here. Can we market first? Here's a question. Can we market first just so we don't have the house not being filled, but I still have to pay the rent? That's a great question. Yes, you can. You can market first. So I highly recommend that you market first. But I don't recommend, that's different from starting a waiting list. So a lot of people and coaches out there will tell you to start a waiting list. The thing is, if you start a waiting list and then you don't open for another month, those people on your waiting list have already found a place to live. So market, let people know that you have this house that's coming. And especially marketing by connecting with people on LinkedIn. That's a great way to market your home, is to reach out to caseworkers on LinkedIn, caseworkers and social workers in the area where you're going to open your home, and just connect with them, connect with them, connect with them. Ask them for the best email address to invite them to an open house event. Tell them that your house is coming, and tell them that you're going to have an open house event on this date and you want to keep them abreast of what's going on. So add them to your email list, and then you're going to send out my house is coming several times, like 7 times, 7 to 13 times. You're going to let them know that your house is coming. You're having an open house event. Please come. Invite them to an open house. Have it like on a Thursday afternoon or a Friday afternoon. Even if only 3 or 4 people come, that's great. You can take that opportunity to do a video of the house, take pictures of all the rooms. So now you have content, and you're going to send out emails to these people throughout the year so that your home stays top of mind with them. So that when they have people who come to their office that need help, they'll be calling you. So yes, definitely market. Okay. All right. So we're on the home stretch here. We've talked about the mindset. We talked about starting the business and getting the house and marketing, but there's also the day to day operations. Excuse me. And the day to day is the intake process, like the intake questionnaire, the setting the expectations for the house and the house rules and common challenges that pop up. For example, stealing food. That's always one of the challenges that come up. People say, oh, so and so stole my food. Put a camera facing the refrigerator, people will stop stealing food. That's one of the tips that I give my coaching clients, and I just gave you for free. Just put a camera facing the refrigerator and people will stop stealing food. So anyway, there's all the operations, and the way that you pay for a shortcut on dealing with the day-to-day operations is getting into a coaching program like mine, because I already have documented everything. I've documented the house rules, the intake process, the questionnaire, the lease, the house signage, everything that you need to do your business. It's all in my group home on autopilot workbook, which I give over to you when you sign on for my coaching program. So now you've got the house open and you're starting to fill beds and you're pocketing money every month. So now what? Excuse me. We need to turn this into a well oiled machine, and we need to get to the top of the pyramid here, the apex. And this is what makes my program different from every other program that's out there, is the autopilot part. So once you get through that learning curve of opening your first house, you're going to fill it up and you're going to be ready for the next house. But how do you do that? And how do you do it remotely too? So I teach you all of my tech stack. So all of the technology tools that I use to run my home from afar, and my toolkit, and my weekly actions, my monthly actions, quarterly actions, even my accounting system. I use the Profit First accounting system for group homes, which is basically the Profit First system. It's in a book by Mike Michalowicz, but I have switched it up a little bit for group homes, and I teach you that process. And then I also teach you how to find and hire an operations manager, which is basically like cloning yourself. You have another you that is available to the people and can go and check on the house and do those things when you're doing this remotely. But you don't have to have an operations manager. You could also just have someone who lives in the house be the house supervisor and just give them a discount on their rent. But anyway, I go into all those different options in my coaching program. So that is basically the steps. That's steps 1 through 6 on how you can open and operate your group home or co-living business. I hope you've gotten something out of this. And if you want to talk to me one-on-one about getting into my coaching program, please do book a call. And I will teach you how to profit $2,000 a month from one property for the rest of your life. And then, real quick, I'm going to have a conference, like I mentioned earlier, a co living business conference. It's my first live event on stage, and I'm going to have all of these people there. And they are going to bring us all their knowledge. I've got somebody from Pad Split that's coming. I have Shalisa English from Freedom Elite Tax, and she's an accountant, and she specializes in tax strategy just for co-living homes and assisted living homes. So she's going to be there. Also, Alex Naley, who is he's a co-living investor, but he's also a commercial and residential real estate realtor. And then I have Remy Jules, who is an expert on community housing, and Felicia Edelman from Uncle Dave's Housing here in Los Angeles. And she and her husband earn $1.5 million a year on their group homes. So I've got all of them lined up to speak to us. And I'm also going to be there too. And they're all going to speak to us April 24th and 25th here in Los Angeles at the Embassy Suites. So anyway, if you're interested in that, please go to grouphomeonautopilot.com/CBC for Co-Living Business Conference, CBC, and get your ticket. So I'm going to go to the Q&A. because we have surpassed the hour now. I'm going to go to Q&A. I'm going to stop this presentation and go to all of the questions. Ooh, okay, that's a lot of questions. Ooh, I'm looking like a wet dog. Oh, yes, yes. Okay, my email address. So let me put that in the chat. I actually have I have a business email address, but I've just been using my Gmail so much lately because my Gmail got out and that's what you guys are emailing me. So I'll just put that there. And then I'll also put the link to group home on autopilot. If you are not on my my email list, you should be. You should be on my email list. So I'm gonna put that in the chat too. Um, okay, hold up. Okay, so here we go. Put this in the chat. And then I'm also going to put in the chat the link to book a call with me. And then I got to do the same thing over on YouTube. Okay, where's my YouTube? Okay, so let me get over here. Oh, I didn't put the go ahead and join my email list. I'm gonna put this over on the YouTube to join my email list. Okay, now let me go from the top of the Q&A. Actually, it's not even Q&A. This is the chat in Zoom. Okay. Okay. I am very okay, Katrina. I am very familiar with the concept of the group home as I do it in my country. I would like to know how possible it is to set it up as a foreigner. How can I engage you in coaching? Okay, so I want you to book a call with me, and I'm gonna I put it in the chat earlier, the strategy call link. So I want you to book a strategy call with me so we can talk about that. But short answer, it's not, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to blow my nose and I know it's gross. Because we are definitely live. Um, you can definitely do this. You can do this as a foreigner. Sorry, guys. I have a cold. I was almost going to cancel this, but I didn't want to cancel it on you. Um, you could do this as a foreigner for sure. Okay, let's go back to um hi Katrina, I need a house. I have access to funding. How can I jumpstart to get a rental? Willing to get a house in another state, open-minded. Are you able to connect me with a house or owner currently doing home care? Also have property management background. Let me put the link in the chat for that rental home locator company. Okay, copy, paste. Put that in the chat there. Rentalhomelocator.com. They will, oh, you know, I could just share my screen here again. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Okay, hopefully you can see my screen. You see that? Rentalhomelocator.com. Need a rental home for your group home, co-living, or corporate rental business? Go there and they will help you to find a place. Okay. In your course, do you provide the links to organizations that will connect you to tenants? No, but I do give you how to find those organizations. And during our one-on-one calls, if you want hands-on help to find those organizations, we share screens. Then I teach you exactly how to find them. So I do help you if you need like hands-on help to Google and find these places, then I will help you. But I teach you how to fish. I teach you how to find those organizations. Okay, can you give me the name of the company? Okay, yes, the name of the company, again, who can locate a rental home for you is rentalhomelocator.com. How do you control utility costs? I actually there's a lock box that you can put on top of the AC. So I put a lock box on top of the AC, which is something I teach you in my coaching program as well. And that way it keeps the temperature controlled. And my operations manager has the key to that lock box. Okay. If you wanted her to see your question. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Valerie. Do you have to have an LLC to operate this type of business? No, you do not have to have an LLC to operate this type of business. You are essentially just a landlord. And as a landlord, you do not need an LLC. But if you have an LLC, you can take advantage of so many tax breaks. So I want you to have an LLC. I know you encourage a 4-bedroom home, but can you still be successful with a three-bedroom home that you own? Yes, you can. We would just need to pull up the profit calculator. By the way, if you guys want to log off, you're welcome to log off. There's a lot of questions in the Q&A, so I'm going to go through all of those, but my feelings will not be hurt if you log off. So if you want to go ahead and jump off, thank you for coming. I appreciate you. Okay, I know you heard for. Okay, yes, we would just have to pull up my profit calculator, which I'm tempted to open right now, and go through those numbers and make sure that it's going to make sense for you. So I have my 3 homes. My last home that I opened is a 3-bedroom. That house hardly makes me any money. It hardly makes money. I wish I need to turn it into an assisted living, but I mean it also doesn't give me any problems. Like there's no headaches. It's 3 private rooms. It pays the mortgage. That's all it does. It pays the mortgage. It doesn't pay me anything. Okay. Okay. Okay, I think that was all. No, that's not all the Q&A. Do you offer payment plan options? Yes, I absolutely do offer payment plans. What if a client hit a blocking point and they require a longer coaching process? I got you on that as well. So I don't usually go into the price of the coaching, but I'll go ahead and do that. Am I still live on? I'm still live. I'm still live on the YouTube. Let me just answer the YouTube first questions, and then I'll stop streaming on YouTube, and then we will go into the coaching program for the people who are still on the Zoom. Okay, let's see. How did you set up managing? Let's see. Hold on. Let me move it over here. How did you set up managing the house with new check-ins or tours? That I go over very in detail in my coaching program. So there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. So I definitely go over that in my coaching program, how you use different technology tools like Calendly to schedule the tours and have an operations manager or house supervisor to do the tours, or schedule the tours only when you're going to be in town. So we look at your calendar and figure out, okay, these are the 3 times that I'm able to travel out there to my home. This time I'm going to go out there and set up the house. This time I'm going to go out there and do the open house. And this time I'm going to go out there and do all of the intake and tours. High turnover seems like a big issue. How are you keeping clients long term? Turnover is an issue and can be an issue, especially if you're doing like I do, which is month to month leases. You don't have to do month to month leases, though. You could do year or you could do 6-month leases. It's up to you. I'm a risk taker, so it depends on what your risk tolerance is. Okay. Did they make you have, wait, do you recommend co-living in California? There are people who do co-living in California. I don't do it because it's so expensive in California, and also California is a tenant friendly state. Texas is more landlord friendly, so that's why I wouldn't do it in California, but there are plenty of people who do it in California. And actually at my live event in April, there's going to be a woman there, Felicia Edelman, who has been doing this in California for many years and makes a lot of money doing this in California. Did they make you have any type of funding requirements with this model? How much is ideal or reasonable to start? Who's they? Did they make you have any type of funding requirements? You talking about the landlord? The landlord might want you to make 3 times, sometimes they say like 3 times the rent or something like that. But as far as how much money to start, I did a video on how much money you need to start a group home. And I recommend you have between ten and $20,000, depending on where you are in the country. And the reason is because when let's say you find a rental home, and that rental home is $2,500 a month. So you're going to pay first month's rent and deposit. That's $5,000 right there that you need to get into the house. You need $5,000. Then you need to furnish the house and turn on all the utilities. So it's going to be a little pricey. And then after you furnish the house and turn on utilities, you need to plan on filling 2 beds per month. To be conservative, on filling 2 beds per month. In my coaching program, I pull up, sorry if you're barking, this is live. Um, in my coaching program, I pull up my profit calculator and we go over exactly how much money you're going to need and how much you're going to be in the hole for like the first month, second month, third month. By the third month, you've got 6 beds full. You should be now making a lot of money. You'd be making money after the third month. And then the fourth month, now you have all your beds full. And now you're making all that money over and over and over again. And you climb out of that hole. I hope that made sense. Um, oh, so I said, yes, you live. Thank you. Uh, okay. Let me go back to the Q&A on the Zoom. Okay. My understanding is that certain states have regulations that prohibit the number of unrelated individuals who live together. Are there limits in Texas? Yes, it depends on the HOA that you're in, but a lot of HOAs and a lot of states have laws that prohibit the number of unrelated people under one roof. But in the demographic that I house, and more than likely that you will house, are protected by the Fair Housing Act. So they can't be discriminated against because they're living under one roof. There was a question that came up on one of my YouTube channels where I actually took the verbiage from the Fair Housing Act and put it in the response. It's where somebody was asking that question. And I don't remember which video it's on, but anyway, you can't be discriminated against because of that. Now, a lot of HOAs will give you a hard time. So that's why I just say don't do this in an HOA. You'll win in court, but you don't want that. You don't want that headache. You don't want that smoke. Like just don't do it in an HOA because they'll give you a hard time. Do this in a place that's like a C-level neighborhood where everybody's minding their own business. They're going to work and coming home and not worried about who's going in and out of your house. So just do that. And also don't allow people in your home to loiter in front of the house. Tell them they can hang out in the back of the house. They can't hang out in the front of the house because you want to be a good neighbor. Okay, it looks like the YouTube, I still have some people on there, but YouTube people, you guys are lucky. I just decided to go live even though I don't feel well. I'm going to stop the YouTube live stream now and just talk to my Zoom people because the Zoom people want some details on the pricing of the coaching program, and prices change. So I'm not going to post this to the YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye to you guys. It's been fun. Thank you so much for joining. And how do I even stop this?